My cousins mocked me as a fool for investing my money in a solar startup, but the next morning, a Pentagon contract silenced them all. The Anderson family reunion was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it became the moment that changed everything. Standing in my grandmother's sprawling backyard, watching my cousins Michael and James show off their matching Rolex watches and designer suits, I could feel the confrontation coming. I'm Samantha Anderson, founder of Helios Innovations, a renewable energy startup that I'd poured my heart, soul, and entire inheritance into over the past 3 years. While my cousins had followed the family tradition of investment banking, I'd chosen a different path, one that had made me the black sheep of the Anderson clan. Well, well, if it isn't our little environmentalist, Michael called out, his voice carrying across the perfectly manicured lawn. How's the hobby business going, Sammy? I gripped my wine glass tighter, remembering my grandmother's words. Keep your head high, dear. True innovation never comes from following the crowd. Actually, I replied, keeping my voice steady, we're finalizing a major contract, our new solar storage technology. Storage technology? James interrupted, laughing. You mean those fancy batteries you're tinkering with in that warehouse? Come on, Sammy. When are you going to join the real world? The warehouse they mockingly referred to was actually a state-of-the-art research facility funded by my grandfather's inheritance, money that my cousins still resented me receiving. Grandpa William had been different from the rest of the Andersons. A brilliant engineer turned successful businessman, he'd recognized something in me that the others couldn't see. The world is changing, I said, addressing not just my cousins but the gathering crowd of relatives. Renewable energy isn't just about saving the planet anymore, it's about national security, grid independence, tree-hugger dreams. Michael snorted. Meanwhile, James and I just closed a $50 million deal with Atlantic Capital, but please tell us more about your solar panels. I noticed my Aunt Patricia, their mother, smirking from her seat on the patio. She'd never forgiven Grandpa for leaving me his research facility and seed money instead of dividing it among all the grandchildren fairly. Those solar panels, a quiet voice interrupted, just might surprise you. Uncle Robert, my father's younger brother and the only physicist in a family of bankers, stepped forward. He'd been following my work from afar, occasionally offering technical advice when I hit roadblocks. Samantha's energy storage system is revolutionary, he continued. I've seen the test results. Oh, please. James rolled his eyes. Not you too, Uncle Robert. Next you'll tell us she's going to power the Pentagon. The irony of his statement would become apparent soon enough, but at that moment I just smiled and excused myself. In my purse, my phone was buzzing with an encrypted message I'd been waiting for. Walking to the quiet of Grandma's garden, I finally checked it. DoD final review complete. Contract approval tomorrow. Maintain radio silence until official announcement. Colonel Martinez. My hands shook slightly as I deleted the message. 8 months of rigorous testing, background checks, and negotiations were about to pay off. The Department of Defense had been searching for exactly what Helios had created, a revolutionary energy storage system that could keep military bases operating off-grid indefinitely. Don't let them get to you, Grandma said, appearing beside me with that silent grace she'd always possessed. At 75, Eleanor Anderson was still sharp as ever, her silver hair elegantly styled, her posture perfect. They think I wasted my inheritance, I said quietly. William knew exactly what he was doing. She squeezed my hand. He saw in you what he wished his own children had possessed: vision, courage, the ability to see beyond the next quarter's profits. Back at the party, I could hear Michael loudly describing his latest yacht purchase. The old Samantha would have stayed hidden in the garden, avoiding confrontation. But I wasn't that person anymore. The prototype passed final testing, I told Grandma. All the simulated attacks, weather conditions, everything. We did it. Her eyes sparkled. Of course you did. Now go show them what an Anderson woman can do. Returning to the patio, I found my cousins holding court, explaining to our younger relatives why real business happened on Wall Street, not in some solar lab in Arizona. The military would never trust critical infrastructure to unreliable green energy, James was saying confidently. That's why defense contracts always go to established players. Really? I spoke up. Want to bet on that? Something in my tone made him pause. What's that supposed to mean? Just that maybe you should watch the news tomorrow, I said, sipping my wine calmly, especially the Defense Department announcements. Michael's eyes narrowed. What did you do? Me? I'm just a tree hugger with a hobby business, remember? Before they could respond, my phone buzzed again. The public relations team wanted to review tomorrow's press release. I excused myself, but not before catching the worried look my cousins exchanged. In my car, parked under the massive oak tree where Grandpa had first taught me about electrical circuits, I finally let myself feel the full weight of what was coming. Tomorrow, Helios Innovations would be announced as the recipient of an $800 million Department of Defense contract to revolutionize military energy infrastructure. The technology we developed wasn't just another solar battery. It was a completely new way of storing and distributing renewable energy, making it possible to create truly independent microgrids that could withstand any attack, physical or cyber. I thought about the day Grandpa had shown me his old research notebooks, filled with ideas he'd never had time to develop. The future isn't in moving money around, he told me. It's in solving real problems. The next morning, I dressed carefully in my favorite power suit, navy blue, perfectly tailored, with Grandpa's old silver tie clip converted into a lapel pin. The contract signing was scheduled for 10 a.m. at the Pentagon. But first I had a stop to make. Helios's main research facility, the warehouse my cousins loved to mock, sprawled across 20 acres of Arizona desert. Inside, 150 of the brightest engineers and scientists in the country were about to learn that their hard work had paid off. Team meeting in 5 minutes, I texted my assistant Lisa. Everyone in the main lab. Walking through the facility, I passed testing rooms where our prototypes had endured simulated hurricanes, electromagnetic pulses, and cyber attacks. Past the three-dimensional printing lab where we developed new manufacturing techniques for our specialized components. Through the software center where our AI team had created the predictive algorithms that made our grid management system revolutionary. This wasn't just a solar company. This was the future of energy independence, wrapped in industrial-grade security and powered by artificial intelligence. As I stepped onto the small platform we used for announcements, facing my team, I thought about all the nights we'd worked until dawn, the failed tests, the breakthroughs, the moments of doubt and triumph. Good morning, I began, trying to keep my voice steady. 3 years ago, most of you took a huge risk joining a startup no one had heard of, led by someone the energy industry considered an outsider. Faces lifted, curious about my serious tone. Yesterday, at my family reunion, my cousins called this place a hobby business. I paused, enjoying the moment. Today, the Department of Defense is announcing that Helios Innovations has been awarded an $800 million contract to revolutionize military energy infrastructure across all branches of service. The room erupted in cheers, hugs, and tears. These people had believed in the vision when no one else did. They deserved this moment. My phone was already buzzing with notifications as the news began to break. I ignored them all except one. A text from Grandma. William would be so proud. Show them what you've built. The day was just beginning. The contract signing, press conferences, and media interviews lay ahead. But in that moment, watching my team celebrate, I knew we'd already achieved something bigger than any contract. We'd proven that sometimes the best revenge isn't in proving others wrong, it's in proving yourself right. My phone buzzed again. Michael's number. Let them call. Let them scramble to understand what they dismissed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new battles to fight. But today was for celebrating the dreamers who dared to change the world, one solar panel at a time. The Pentagon briefing room buzzed with anticipation. Energy industry reporters filled every seat, their confusion evident. Why had the Department of Defense called a press conference about solar power? I sat quietly in the front row, Grandpa's silver pin catching the light as Colonel Martinez approached the podium. My phone had been vibrating non-stop since the initial press release hit the wires, 37 missed calls from Michael, 23 from James, and counting. "Ladies and gentlemen," the colonel began, "today marks a historic shift in military infrastructure security. The Department of Defense is proud to announce an $800 million contract with Helios Innovations for the implementation of their revolutionary gridlock energy storage and distribution system across all major military installations." Camera shutters clicked rapidly as he continued. "This technology represents a quantum leap in energy security. Each base equipped with the gridlock system will be capable of operating completely off-grid indefinitely, immune to physical or cyber attacks on civilian power infrastructure." I watched the reporters' faces as understanding dawned. This wasn't just another green energy project. This was a fundamental reimagining of military power security. I'd like to introduce Samantha Anderson, founder and CEO of Helios Innovations, to explain the technical aspects of the system. Standing at the podium, I thought of all the doubters, the dismissive venture capitalists, the condescending energy executives who'd called our ideas impossible, and especially my cousins who'd mocked every step of this journey. "Gridlock isn't just a battery," I began. "It's an intelligent energy ecosystem that combines advanced solar collection, revolutionary storage technology, and AI-driven distribution management. But its real innovation lies in its security features." For the next 20 minutes, I outlined how our system could withstand everything from EMP attacks to quantum computer hacking attempts. The questions came rapid fire, and I answered each one with the confidence that comes from years of preparation. As the briefing ended, my assistant Lisa slipped me a note. "Anderson Stewart Capital requesting urgent meeting. Michael and James insisting they represent family interests in any investment discussions." Of course they were. The vultures always circle when they smell money. Outside the Pentagon, news vans lined the street. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Patricia this time. I let it go to voicemail already knowing what she'd say, something about family loyalty and working together now that my little project had proven viable. "Ms. Anderson," reporters called out as I walked to my car. "How does it feel to revolutionize military energy infrastructure? Is it true Helios will IPO next year? Are you concerned about foreign interest in the technology?" I smiled, remembering Grandpa's advice, "Let your work speak louder than your words." Back at my hotel suite, I finally checked my messages. The family group chat had exploded. "Michael, Sammy, call me a sap, we need to discuss the family's involvement in Helios. James, Anderson Stewart Capital can handle the IPO. Don't talk to any other banks. Aunt Patricia, family should stick together in business. Your grandfather would have wanted that." The last message made me laugh out loud. Grandpa had specifically structured my inheritance to keep it out of their hands, knowing they'd try to seize control of any successful venture. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Lisa entered with a stack of newspapers. The story had made every major business section. "The venture capital offers are pouring in," she reported, "and Anderson Stewart Capital has scheduled a board meeting to discuss strategic acquisition opportunities in the renewable energy sector." "Let me guess," I said. "Michael and James are leading the initiative." "Actually, they're already in the lobby. Should I have security remove them?" I considered it for a moment. "No, send them up. It's time to clear the air." Minutes later, my cousins burst into the suite, looking decidedly less polished than at the family reunion. Michael's tie was askew, and James's designer suit was wrinkled from travel. "Sammy," Michael started, all fake warmth, "why didn't you tell us? We could have helped structure this deal, gotten you better terms." "The terms are fine," I replied coolly. "The Doody's lawyers made sure of that." "But the IPO," James began. "There won't be an IPO," I cut him off. "Helios is staying private." They exchanged glances. "Be reasonable," Michael said. "You need experienced financial advisors. The family name—" "The family name." I stood up, anger finally breaking through. "The same family name you used to mock my tree-hugger dreams? The same family that called my work a joke?" "We were wrong," James admitted quickly. "We see that now. But think about the synergies, our banking connections, your technology. Your banking connections almost crashed the economy in 2008, I reminded them. Grandpa never forgot that. It's why he left the research facility to me instead of you. Michael's face darkened. That old man was senile. He didn't understand modern business. Get out. My voice was ice. What? Get out of my hotel. Get out of my business. And tell Aunt Patricia to stop calling. Helios isn't for sale. Not to you, not to anyone. You'll regret this, Michael threatened. We can make things very difficult for you. I smiled, remembering the security briefings I'd sat through during the DoD vetting process. Actually, you can't, but feel free to try. The first military installation was scheduled for conversion next month. We had work to do. My phone buzzed. Uncle Robert this time saw the announcement. Your grandfather's energy storage theories, you actually made them work. Come see for yourself, I offered. We're starting installation at Fort Bradley next month. Those equations, he replied. They said it was impossible. They were wrong. The next few weeks were a blur of activity. While my cousins tried gains, I pulled out an old leather notebook, Grandpa's original research journal. Call Colonel Martinez, I instructed. And get me Uncle Robert. It's time to show the world where this technology really came from. The next day, as my cousins held a press conference announcing their revolutionary energy system, I was at Fort Bradley, watching our first full-scale installation take shape. Rows of our proprietary solar panels gleamed in the Texas sun, each one incorporating security features that had taken years to perfect. The heart of the system, our quantum-resistant storage units, was being lowered into specially designed underground vaults. Impressive, Uncle Robert said, examining the technical readouts. William would have loved this. He saw it coming, I replied, showing him Grandpa's journal. Look at the date on these equations. Robert's eyes widened as he read. This is from 2015. He was already working on quantum-secure energy storage before anyone else was even thinking about it. And he left all his research to you, I added, along with very specific instructions about protecting it from certain family members. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a news alert. The Department of Defense had issued a statement completely rejecting Anderson Stewart Capital's claims about military energy contracts. Your cousins? Robert shook his head. They never did understand the difference between making money and creating value. Looking out over the installation, I thought about Grandpa's words from his last letter to me. The future belongs to those who build it, not those who try to buy it. The sun was setting behind the solar arrays, creating a stunning light show as our AI system automatically adjusted each panel for optimal efficiency. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Michael and James wouldn't give up easily, and our technology would face constant scrutiny. But standing there, watching my grandfather's dreams become reality, I knew we'd already won the most important battle. We'd proven that innovation, integrity, and determination could triumph over greed and shortcuts. My phone buzzed again. Grandma, this time, they're saying terrible things about you in the family group chat. Should I tell them about William's letter? Not yet, I replied. Let's wait for the patent office announcement tomorrow. After all, timing was everything in solar power, and in revenge. The patent office's announcement hit the news feeds at exactly 9 a.m. Eastern Time, revolutionary energy storage system patent granted to Helios Innovations. Claims of prior art rejected. I was already at Fort Bradley, watching the final components of our first military installation being connected, when the notifications started flooding in. The first was from my lawyer, Anderson Stewart Capital's patent challenge denied. All 247 claims approved. Congratulations. My cousins had spent millions trying to prove that our technology was simply an implementation of existing systems. They'd failed spectacularly. Ms. Anderson, Colonel Martinez called out, walking across the base with a tablet in hand. You might want to see this. He showed me a live feed from CNBC, where Michael was attempting to explain to skeptical analysts why Anderson Stewart Capital's stock had dropped 30% on news of their failed energy venture. Our partnership with Guangzhou Energy remains strong, he insisted, tugging at his collar. "This patent decision is just a minor setback." The feed cut to breaking news. Chinese partner abandons Anderson Stewart venture, cites misrepresented technology claims in filing. "Justice is a beautiful thing," Lisa muttered beside me. But I was already focused on something more important. Across the sprawling military base, our gridlock system was about to go live for the first time at full scale. 3 years of work, countless sleepless nights, and every penny of my inheritance had led to this moment. "All stations report status," I called over the secure comm system. "Solar array online. Storage systems ready. Distribution grid standing by. Security protocols active. AI management system initialized." I took a deep breath, thinking of Grandpa's old notebook, now sealed in a secure display case at Helios headquarters. He'd seen this future decades ago, a world where renewable energy wasn't just clean but more secure and reliable than anything that had come before. Execute startup sequence. Across the base, our system hummed to life. Thousands of solar panels tracked the sun with microscopic precision. Underground storage units began accepting power, their quantum-secured systems ensuring no external force could disrupt the flow of energy. The base's power grid smoothly transitioned from external sources to our self-contained network. "Ma'am," one of our engineers called out, "you should see these efficiency numbers. We're exceeding projections by 23%. On the monitoring screens, green lights spread across the base map as each sector came online: the mess hall, the barracks, the command center, the hangars, one by one, switching to pure renewable power with zero interruption. "Test the isolation protocols," Colonel Martinez ordered. With a few keystrokes, the base's connection to the external power grid was severed. In older systems, this would have caused at least a momentary disruption. Our system didn't even blink. "Run the attack simulations," I instructed. For the next hour, we subjected the system to everything our security team could throw at it: simulated EMPs, cyber attacks, physical breaches, even quantum computer decryption attempts. The gridlock system adapted, countered, and maintained stable power distribution throughout. My phone buzzed. James, this time. After decades of coddling and privilege, my cousins were learning hard lessons about the real business world. I let it go to voicemail. "Samantha?" Uncle Robert's voice carried across the command center. He'd been quietly observing the startup sequence, checking his own calculations against the system's performance. "These readings, the quantum storage efficiency, it's exactly what William predicted in his theoretical papers." "I know," I smiled. "We found the solution in his last notebook. That final equation everyone thought was a dead end. It just needed a different perspective." Before he could respond, an aide rushed in. "Miss Anderson, turn on the news. Now." The wall screens flickered to life, showing a press conference at Anderson Stewart Capital's headquarters. But instead of my cousins, it was their board chairman speaking. "We regret to announce the immediate resignation of Michael and James Anderson following an internal investigation into misrepresentation of technical capabilities to potential partners. Furthermore, evidence has emerged of attempted intellectual property theft." "Should we make a statement?" Lisa asked quietly. I shook my head. "Our work speaks for itself. Let's focus on what matters." What mattered was happening all around us. The largest military base in Texas was now running entirely on renewable energy, completely secure from any outside interference. By this time next year, every major military installation in the country would follow suit. My phone buzzed again. "Grandma, the family's in an uproar. Michael and James are demanding an emergency meeting. Your Aunt Patricia is in tears." "When are you going to show them the letter?" Ah, yes. The letter. The one Grandpa had left with his attorneys, to be opened only if someone challenged my ownership of his research. The one that detailed exactly why he'd chosen me to carry forward his legacy, and exactly what he thought of my cousin's business ethics. "Not yet," I replied. "Let's see if they learn anything from this first." The rest of the day was a blur of tests, adjustments, and documentation. By sunset, Fort Bradley had been running for 12 hours on nothing but Texas sunshine, stored and distributed more efficiently than any system in history. As the stars began to appear, I walked the base perimeter with Colonel Martinez, watching our solar arrays track the last rays of light. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "when the duty first started looking for alternatives to traditional power infrastructure, most people thought we were crazy. They said renewable energy wasn't reliable enough for military applications." He gestured at the darkened base, still humming with perfectly regulated power. "And now, we're revolutionizing not just military energy security, but the entire concept of power distribution. Your grandfather would be proud." Back in the command center, the night shift was settling in. Our AI system automatically adjusted for the transition from solar to stored power, maintaining constant efficiency across the base. Another news alert. Chinese company files suit against Anderson Stewart Capital, demands return of $50 million investment. "Your cousins really stepped in it," Lisa observed, bringing me yet another coffee. "Want to watch their stock price drop further?" "No," I said softly. "I want to call my grandmother." In her elegant sitting room, surrounded by decades of family photos, I finally showed Grandma the contents of Grandpa's last notebook, the equations that had baffled so many others, the notes in the margins predicting the future of energy storage. "He knew," she said, touching the worn pages gently. "He knew they'd try to take it from you if it succeeded." "He knew a lot of things," I agreed, including why the family needed to change. The next morning brought the announcement I'd been waiting for. The Department of Defense was exercising its option to expand our contract, doubling the initial $800 million to $1,600 million. Helios Innovations would convert every major military installation to renewable power over the next 5 years. As the news broke, I sat in Grandpa's old study, now my office, at Helios headquarters. His portrait hung on the wall next to framed copies of his original patents. Beside them would soon hang our new patent, the one that proved his theories and changed the future of energy. My phone buzzed with an unexpected name, Aunt Patricia. "Samantha," she began, her voice uncharacteristically humble. I may have been wrong about some things. The family's in chaos. Michael and James, their careers are probably over. The lawsuits, it's a mess." "I know," I said calmly. "Actions have consequences." "Your grandfather," she continued, "he saw something in you that we didn't. Or maybe we saw it but didn't want to admit it. Either way, I'm sorry." It wasn't much, but it was a start. After hanging up, I walked through the Helios Research Facility, the hobby business that was now revolutionizing global energy infrastructure. Engineers and scientists worked at cutting-edge stations developing the next generation of sustainable technology. In the testing lab, prototypes of even more advanced storage systems took shape. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Colonel Martinez. "Fort Bradley just hit 100% uptime for 1 full week. 0 issues. When can we start on the other bases?" I smiled, thinking of all the military installations across the country, each one soon to be powered by sunlight and secured by quantum physics. Grandpa's dreams made real. In the end, success wasn't about proving my cousins wrong. It was about proving Grandpa right, about showing that true innovation comes from vision, dedication, and the courage to follow your convictions. Michael and James had played the game of financial manipulation, thinking it made them masters of the universe. But the real power lay in creation, in building something that made the world better. The sun was setting over the Arizona desert, our solar arrays tracking its movement with perfect precision. Somewhere in Connecticut, my cousins were probably meeting with lawyers, trying to salvage their reputations. But here, in the facility they'd once mocked, we were building the future. I touched the wall of patents, feeling the embossed surface of my grandfather's original work. "We did it," I whispered. "We showed them what real value looks like." Later that night, I finally opened the family group chat. For anyone interested in seeing what Grandpa's research facility actually does, I'm hosting an open house next month. No bankers allowed. The future of energy was changing, and with it perhaps the values of the Anderson family, one solar panel at a time.